Consider a musician preparing to perform. She has practiced for months. She knows the piece. In every rehearsal, she has played beautifully. But as the concert approaches, a thought intrudes. What if I forget the notes? And the thought, once arrived, does not leave. It grows. She begins to imagine the silence where the melody should be, the audience's confusion, the humiliation. She practices more, but now the practicing is shadowed by the imagined failure. When the night comes and she takes the stage, something happens that perfect preparation could not prevent. The fear itself has become the problem. Viktor Frankl called this anticipatory anxiety, and he considered it one of the most clinically significant mechanisms in all of psychology. Anticipatory anxiety operates through a feedback loop that Frankl described with great precision. Step 1. The person experiences or imagines a symptom, a trembling hand, a forgotten word, a rapid heartbeat, an embarrassing reaction. Step 2. The person develops fear of the symptom recurring. Step 3. The fear itself produces the conditions that make the symptom more likely: elevated arousal, hypervigilant self-monitoring, the very tension the person is trying to avoid. Step 4. The symptom occurs, confirming the fear and deepening it. The loop completes, and the next cycle begins from a more entrenched starting point. What makes this loop so difficult to escape by ordinary means is that every intuitive response strengthens it. The person who is afraid of blushing tries to control the blush, and the effort of control produces a state of self-focused tension that makes blushing more likely. The person afraid of panic attacks monitors their heartbeat obsessively, and the monitoring itself accelerates the heart. The person afraid of social judgment watches themselves perform in every interaction, and the watching makes the performance stilted and self-conscious. Every attempt to directly suppress the feared symptom confirms the person's belief that the symptom is a real threat, which deepens the fear, which tightens the loop. Frankl was particularly struck by the role of what he called hyperattention in this dynamic. The fearful person turns their full attention onto themselves, onto the possible symptom, onto the signs of its approach, onto the monitoring of every sensation that might be a warning. This self-attention is itself the most powerful trigger available for the symptoms in question. The blush arrives because it is watched for. The panic expands because it is observed. The performance deteriorates because the performer is simultaneously performer and critic. His therapeutic response, developed through years of clinical practice, was paradoxical intention, the instruction to intend the feared symptom as deliberately and thoroughly as possible. The person afraid of blushing is told to try, with all their effort, to produce the most spectacular blush anyone has ever seen. The effect is reliably surprising. The symptom dissolves. Not because the person has gained control over it, but because the deliberate intention has changed the relationship between the person and the symptom. The feared thing has become the willed thing. And the thing that was previously involuntary, once voluntarily intended, loses the quality of threat that sustained the anxiety. Frankl explained this effect through his concept of self-detachment. The person who can stand far enough back from their own anxiety to wish for it humorously has broken the grip of the anxiety on their inner life. They have exercised the specifically human capacity to take a position toward their own condition, to see it from outside rather than being entirely inside it. This capacity for self-detachment, Frankl believed, was one of the fundamental expressions of human freedom. And its exercise dissolves anticipatory anxiety not because the anxiety was not real but because the person has proven, through the act of detachment itself, that they are larger than it. The modern landscape is saturated with anticipatory anxiety of every variety. The culture of optimization that asks people to perform every role, romantic partner, professional, parent, friend, social media presence, perfectly and simultaneously creates ideal conditions for anticipatory anxiety. The person who enters every interaction already imagining how it could go wrong is living in permanent anticipatory anxiety. The student who cannot study because they are too busy fearing the exam is caught in Frankl's loop. The exit from the loop is not relaxation, not positive thinking, not willpower. It is the paradoxical act of turning toward the feared thing with intention and humor, of saying, in effect, yes, this might happen, and I choose to encounter it rather than flee from it. In that choice, the anxiety that has been driving the loop discovers that its engine has been removed. The ultimate lesson of anticipatory anxiety from Frankl's clinical work and from the decades of research that has since confirmed his observations is disarmingly simple. Anxiety is a commentary on what you care about. It forms around the things that genuinely matter to you. And the way through it is not the elimination of caring but the transformation of your relationship to the feared outcome, from the passive subject of an anticipated experience to the active chooser of your response to it. Paradoxical intention is one route through. Genuine engagement with meaning is another. Both work for the same reason. They relocate the person from the inside of the fear to the outside of it. And from that position, what seemed like fate reveals itself as something far more manageable, a habit of attention that can be changed. Subscribe to The Psychology of Viktor Frankl to explore more of his timeless ideas.